Welcome, everybody, to the Play Action Podcast. We have myself, we have Matt, and today we are going to be talking about, in our opinion, the two guys that will be coming down to the wire in the MVP discussion, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And it's perfect timing because they're playing each other this Sunday in Baltimore. It's blasphemous that this is not a primetime game. It's blasphemous that it's not even an afternoon game. This is the morning session. And everybody's going to have to watch these two players. Now, I understand if you want to say, oh, well, other players are in the conversation. Currently, absolutely. Guys like Jalen Hurts undefeated, putting up some great numbers. Tua's undefeated, things like that. But right now, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are playing unbelievable football. Lamar Jackson has scored more touchdowns than 30 NFL teams. Out of 31 possible teams, he could score more touchdowns than. And then Josh Allen has just been unbelievable. Obviously he got the loss last week, but he looked fine. That was a difficult game that he played against a good defense. But Matt, I'm going to let you start off because we don't want to get the biased Ravens fan in me. But just to say, everybody, if you're watching this, hit that subscribe button down below because we are back and we're putting out a ton of content. We're putting out a ton of shorts content, so stay tuned for that. But Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, MVP. Who you got, Matt?
So I think right now I would rock with Lamar Jackson, but if I had to take a pick of who I think is actually going to win MVP, I'm gonna have to go with Josh Allen just because I think we see it a lot, but there's voter fatigue, which is really stupid. I think it's really stupid, but there is voter fatigue. Lamar's already won it. It feels like if Josh Allen has a good year, if the Bills are really good and he puts up great numbers, I feel like he's almost a shoo-in to win MVP just because he's the guy that's already been like the preseason pick. The Bills they're the Super Bowl favorites, and everyone's hyping up the Bills. Like the Bills have been the team this whole offseason. We have a friend, we've talked with him before about the Bills, and he's like, dude, I've never seen this much hype with this team. And he's excited, but he's also like, it's kind of scary because there's the hype is so insane. So I think that if you had to guess of who's going to actually take home the award, I would probably go with Josh Allen. But if we're looking purely based on who's playing better right now, I think you give it to Lamar. And unfortunately, that's not how MVP winning and voting works, which is annoying. But Lamar Jackson right now, you already brought it up. He has you said he has more touchdowns than 30 out of the 31 other teams in the NFL. That's one of the stupidest stats I've ever heard. If you're watching Lamar Jackson, if you're watching that team, one, they have an incompetent offensive coordinator, so Lamar's deal with that. But also, they don't really have a run game up to this point, which is similar to last season when they didn't have a run game, and Lamar had this team as the number one seed in the AFC before he got injured. But Lamar has been unbelievable. I mean, every single game he comes out, and he is the whole offense for the Ravens, whether that's passing the football, whether that's rushing the football. I mean, the last 2 weeks, he had over 100 rushing yards, averaging over 10 yards a carry with a touchdown each week. That's just ridiculous. And then you look at his passing numbers, and right now he's completing almost 64% of the passes. He has a little over 700 yards in 3 games and 10 touchdowns to 2 picks. So maybe not super insane passing numbers, but they're a lot better than when he was younger. Like he's taken a very clear step, I think, in the passing game. And then you pair that with, he's also the most efficient running player in the entire league. Like, dude, what else are you gonna do? Like that's my question. If he keeps this up, there's literally nothing else you could ask him to do because he's pretty much playing perfectly right now. And yes, they lost a game. If he would have thrown that pick six that was dropped, you could look at it and go, that one was kind of on Lamar. But the pick six was dropped. And Lamar, they put up, 40-something points in that game, and he had 5 touchdowns.
38.
Like, yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, like this dude's been unbelievable. I'm a big fan of Lamar Jackson. I will say that. So even though you said, you're not the Ravens fan, you're not biased, I am biased because I like Lamar. But then I'll talk about Allen a little bit here. I think Allen just gets better and better every single year. I think last year we got to see it kind of be like, okay, now he's kind of spreading the ball around a little bit more. Look, he's taking this step. This year it feels like they're in it every single game. Last week they probably shouldn't have been in the game. Allen played really well. It was a really odd game, but if I'm looking at who are the best quarterbacks in the league right now, these guys in Mahomes, and we could talk about Rodgers, but they're the 2 top 3, right?
Absolutely.
You have to bring them into that conversation. And I feel like Lamar's going to get slandered. People be like, Lamar's not on Allen's level. He is. He is. If you are saying that, I believe that you're very biased and that you just don't like Lamar Jackson in all honesty, because his development as a passer has been tremendous. Josh Allen's development as a passer over the past few years have been tremendous. And now we look at these guys and they're very clear two superstars. So if they keep it up, this will be a fun one. And I think this week's matchup makes it even that much more exciting.
Yeah, when I'm looking at these two guys, when I'm looking at the MVP award, I think these are number 2 and number 3 in the NFL. If I'm ranking quarterbacks, Mahomes is 1. I don't understand how people don't put Mahomes 1. Just watch Mahomes, and it's like, okay, yeah, there's still a gap. And Rodgers looks bad. Brady hasn't looked good. Now the weapons haven't been there for those guys, but like, look at Lamar's weapons. Look at Lamar Jackson's receivers over his entire career, and you're going to tell me that, oh no, he has to just be way better. And it's like, all right, so we're going to look at these two teams, and I think there's a very big difference between these two teams. The Buffalo Bills have an unbelievable defense with a fantastic defensive line that gets pressure, and so they're able to win games by holding defending Super Bowl champions to very little points. The Ravens go out there. The New England Patriots are one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Mac Jones is not a good quarterback. They do not have good wide receivers. They have an okay, running back committee, but it's not great. And they went out there and they put up over 25 points in this game. And they were driving the ball. And it was like, wow, Lamar Jackson legitimately has to score almost every single possession if this team wants to win. But you can rely on Lamar Jackson to do that. I have no problem with the Buffalo Bills. I have no problem with Josh Allen. Again, I think Josh Allen is fantastic. They lost to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins put up, 20 points? The Ravens lost to the Dolphins, and they put up 42 points. And Lamar Jackson went, and he had 4 touchdowns in that game, and they still lost because the Ravens defense. Now, I fully expect the Ravens defense to get a lot better. But as of this point, the Ravens defense is the worst passing defense in the NFL. And Lamar Jackson is in shootouts every single game. But you can rely on Lamar Jackson in these shootouts because you don't have to rely on anybody else. They have horrible running backs right now. Now, when J.K. Dobbins is able to be fully healthy, I'll like the running back group a little bit more. But last week against the New England Patriots, they go in there. They don't have Ronnie Stanley still, and they have Patrick McCarry starting at the left tackle spot. McCarry, he's fine at left tackle. He gets injured early in the game, and it goes, well, shit. Our left tackle now has to be Daniel Filele. Daniel Filele is a pure right tackle. That's the first thing. Never played left tackle, I believe, in his life. Didn't play it in Minnesota, and he is drafted as a true project. A true project. This guy was like, yeah, he's not going to be able to ready to play for maybe a couple of seasons. So they sign Morgan Moses, and they go, hey, let's get this guy behind Morgan Moses. He can learn under Morgan. Then he'll be able to step in. Then they go, crap, we're all injured. He's got to play left tackle. And Weiss just decides, I'm going to get pressure on Lamar Jackson every play because Daniel Filele is a rookie in his first ever snaps in the NFL, and he's getting destroyed. And Lamar Jackson just starts going, okay, I'm going to have to do things a little bit differently. Shout out to Greg Roman in this game. I feel like he called a good game plan in the second half. But he goes out there, and Lamar Jackson finishes games, and you're like, well, he played pretty well. And you look at his stats, and it's like, oh, yeah. I'll pull up last week's numbers, for example, because it was like, oh, yeah, Lamar played solid in this game. Obviously, he had the touchdowns. But, yardage-wise, you're like, yeah, Lamar, 218 yards passing. You're like, but he also threw for 4 touchdowns. You're like, well, that was pretty good. And then you're like, what did he do rushing? And you're like, he had 107 yards rushing? What? Where did that come from? And it's just like, he just sneakily just like, whoop, oh yeah. I also carried the offense's run game. And it's like, you don't notice it because it's like, it's just so casual. It's just like, oh yeah, there's another 10-yard run by Lamar. There's another 10-yard run by Lamar. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. Josh Allen has 19 carries on the year. Lamar Jackson has 26. Lamar has over twice the amount of yards Josh Allen has rushing the football. And Josh Allen is a very good running quarterback. I think Josh Allen's the 4th best running quarterback in the NFL. He's definitely top 5. Kyler, Hurts, and Allen, I think you can throw them all in a mix. They're all very different styles of running. But Josh Allen is very good. And he is nowhere near the level that Lamar Jackson is because Lamar Jackson has the speed to break over the top and the quickness to escape. And he is truly everybody. And that is the narrative that's going to be going this season is One, going into the year, was like, who does Lamar have passing the ball? Why did they not sign anybody? It's just Bateman and Devin Duvernay.
What about DeMarcus Robinson?
DeMarcus Robinson was the signing that I was like, oh, yeah. Which is hilarious because this is Patrick Mahomes' number 4 wide receiver. And the Ravens got him, and they were like, we've got our guy. This is the guy we needed, right? And so we're sitting here and we're watching. It's just like, yeah, he has Mark Andrews. I'm not trying to take Mark Andrews away. That's very beneficial. But every top quarterback has a guy they can go to. But the secondary, the complementary pieces, like Josh Allen, he's got Gabe Davis, who is a legitimate great deep threat in the NFL right now. And then they have Stephon Diggs, who's able to get open almost every single play. So right now, when I'm looking at it, at the end of the year, Lamar Jackson is going to be putting up similar numbers. Now, he's not going to put up 4 touchdowns a week like he has been, but he's going to have more rushing touchdowns than any other Ravens running backs. He's going to lead the team in rushing. He's definitely going to lead them in passing. And the thing about Lamar that nobody gives him credit for, that dude is efficient in the red zone, and he throws touchdown passes. He doesn't throw for a ton of yards because he doesn't have to, because he's able to run the football and they're able to get inside the red zone and they throw a touchdown. Like last week, 4 touchdown passes on 200 yards. When do you see that in modern NFL? You throw for 4 touchdowns, you threw for 400 yards. That's how it consistently is. That's how Allen does it. That's how Mahomes does it. That's how, even Herbert does it. Lamar's just like, nah, I'm going to run the ball, control the clock, and then I'm going to, slice and dice in that red zone. When Lamar won MVP, he led the league in touchdown passes. He's leading the league in touchdown passes right now. He's also number 5 in rushing in the NFL right now, which is also pretty crazy. So, yes, I think Josh Allen, he has this hype built around him. But Lamar Jackson last year was probably the most valuable player in the league, and he was getting recognition for it. And people were like, wait a minute, this guy's crazy good. I'm not seeing the slander that I'm used to seeing about Lamar Jackson. It seems like the media has run out. Now maybe if they lose this week, the media's like, oh, Lamar Jackson just can't win big games, which is just a terrible narrative. But it just seems like they're running out of things to say, and now it's starting to become praise because they have to. They realize I can't look like a complete idiot on national television as consistently as I have for the last 3 seasons slandering this man. I'm done. I'm going to start praising him. Even Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith hates Lamar Jackson. Hates Lamar Jackson. You watch any clip he says, he goes, this man cannot play the game of, quarterback position. He's got to go out there, and you just can't rely on your legs like that. You just got to throw the football. If you didn't know, Stephen A. Smith is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Oh, he hates the Ravens quarterback. I'm shocked. And he goes out there this week and he's like, yeah, Lamar Jackson's going to run over all over the Buffalo Bills defense. The Buffalo Bills have a very good defense. And the expectation for Lamar in the Ravens offense is to go all over no matter what defense. Whatever defense you want to say is the best in the NFL, the Niners, the Bills, if people want to say the Rams, the Bucks, all really good defense. Lamar Jackson goes into those games and teams are like, and media is just like, yeah, he's just going to do whatever he wants because he legitimately can. Dave Portnoy, shout out to Dave Portnoy. He's not a huge football guy. I know he's a big Boston fan, Barstool Sports. And they were talking and they were like, Ravens going into the Patriots. And this is the casual Patriot, kind of just, oh man, we're so good. We're so good. Bill Belichick's the GOAT. And they're like, you think Lamar Jackson's going to be able to run against Bill Belichick and be able to do what he wants on the ground? No, this is Bill Belichick. He's going to scheme around you. He's going to be able to figure that out, and he's going to take away your asset, which is your legs. And he just went up against a Bill Belichick defense that has good defensive players. Matthew Judon, the Ravens lost their starting left tackle in that game. And he was just like, oh, yeah, 10 yards of carry, 5 touchdowns. And then walked right out with a W. You can't defend him. The only way you defend him is if the Ravens beat themselves, and who beats the Ravens is Greg Roman. So Lamar Jackson is legitimately everything to the Baltimore Ravens, and they're going to have a very good record, and they had a very good record last year, and they're going to win big games. And that's, I think, going to get him the MVP, and I think it's ridiculous that I was able to – I bet $50 at plus 2,200 for Lamar Jackson to win the MVP before the season because I saw those odds, and I was like, how is this? Because Lamar puts up numbers. How is he plus 2,200 when so many other guys are like, plus 1,700. You're like, why is Derek Carr better odds than Lamar Jackson? Like, Derek Carr's not going to put up like numbers like Lamar. It's ridiculous.
The only thing I'll add, because I think you covered it really well, just the only thing I'm wondering is when Dobbins is healthy, when Ronnie Stanley's back, and they're like both clicking and like ready to go, I do wonder how much they kind of take the I don't want to say the pressure, but like everything revolving around Lamar. Like it's always going to. But with Josh Allen and that offense, like I think it was Tony Dungy said like they need to make it less like Josh Allen centric. And it's like, no, they don't. Not at all. That would be really stupid if they did that. They don't have any like run game outside of like him and like you know what I mean. Like he makes it work like crazy. It's like all around him. But if the Ravens are able to run the football really effectively, because they've been able to do that under like with Lamar Jackson, and I'm saying like outside of him, I do wonder if there's anything like if there's a way that could kind of like dissipate, like not like dissipate, but like slow up his numbers a little bit. That would be the only question mark I have. But outside of that, like I'm expecting him to put up the best numbers over the course of the season. So that would be my only like maybe if this happens and the offense looks a little different, but I don't really think that's going to be the case.
Think about 2019. The Ravens set the all-time NFL rushing record. They set that record. Lamar Jackson also broke the rushing record for a quarterback, and he rushed for more yards than any other player on the Ravens. So and that was in a 16-game season. Lamar could break that record because they're not going to have Gus Edwards back for a while. Justice Hill blows. Kenyon Drake blows worse. I don't even want to talk about Mike Davis because you can't even say he blows. He sucks. It's unbelievable, and they got to wait a while for JK to get back. But it's always going to be a healthy media. But it's very clear that the Ravens don't want to run the ball as much in the red zone, which is fantastic. Took Greg Roman. Congratulations, Greg Roman. You figured out you can't run the exact same play for 15 years in the red zone consistently. Congratulations. You did a good job. You won a cookie. How about you go back to coaching high school football, which is what you were doing before Lamar Jackson saved your NFL career. Lamar Jackson's going to be throwing the ball in the red zone. And that's going to lead to the scrambles, and that's going to lead to the touchdowns. So, yeah, they could have the yards. They could cut into his yards, but I don't think they're going to cut into his touchdowns. I think Lamar Jackson is almost a lock for an average of like 3 touchdowns a game throughout a season because he has to do it all. But everybody, I think that's all in the debate. Let us know in the comment section down below who you got. Lamar, Josh Allen, if you think other people are going to be in that conversation. I understand Hurts is very good, but, by the end of the year, I think people are going to recognize, hey, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL. This is one of the best wide receiver corps in the NFL. They've got a very good tight end. They've got the best offensive line, arguably, in the NFL. He's got a lot of help, and also he plays in a terrible division. So let us know. Thank you all, and we'll see all of you again